Okay, let's talk about how to do the wrong things the right way. Go ahead, call me a hack. Knock yourself out. I'll own that. Because hack is very misused. Hack, people throw that insult around like, oh, he's a hack, he doesn't know what he's doing. But hack actually means to find a viable workaround to a problem. That's what it is to hack something. Like in a computer, you know, you're hacking, you're getting past, you know, whatever it is you're getting past, you're sneaking in there, you're breaking into it, you're doing what you're not supposed to, but you're successful with it. That's what a hack is. So as far as the mechanic goes, you want to call me a hack? Fine, I'll own that. I've spent my entire life hacking things. But I'm not a butcher. There's a difference between being a hack and a butcher. You can do something that's wrong, hack your way through a problem, but you could do it in a good way. It doesn't have to be butchered. It can be very nice. It can be a permanent workaround if that's what you're looking for. So here's what happened. Last week I buy this Town & Country minivan, and when I go to look at it, it's got no headlights. So both headlights are out. So I'm like, taillights are working, every other light is working, but the headlights aren't working. So I'm like, I think it's a body control module. Or in the case of a Chrysler, it's called a TIPM, a totally integrated power module, body control module. So if you're not familiar, and I just did a video on this a few weeks ago, the body control module is a computer, more or less, that's found in just about every single vehicle built over the last 30 years. And it's the computer that handles everything that isn't powertrain. So in other words, it doesn't run the engine, doesn't shift the transmission, but it does everything else. So your lights, your wipers, the heater, the radio, the windows, everything goes, even the charging system, goes through the body control module, or TIPM. So I buy this minivan, I point out to the seller, hey, this thing is gonna have an issue, right? I lowball him, he accepts it because he knows it's got that issue, and I drive it away. So I figured, all right, I can probably come up with a solution to this. It may be something simple. I may have to get another TIPM for it. TIPMs, reconditioned ones, go for around 300 bucks. And that's the cost of it isn't the problem. It's the turnaround time. If I pull this thing out and ship it off to a rebuilder, by the time they get it back to me, it's going to be a week, 2 weeks. I don't want to leave this thing laid up, and all I need is for the headlights to work. So I decided to hack a solution to this. Now this is how I got the headlights to work on a faulty TIPM. And the same solution will work on any make or models. Don't get thrown as a Chrysler minivan. This is just kind of a universal repair, but it's the right way to do it. A right way to do a temporary repair, if you want to call it that. I plan on putting a good TIPM in this eventually, but for right now, I just need headlights. I just need it to work. So let's go over to the vehicle. So this right here is the TIPM body control module. And underneath here, yes, it looks like a fuse box on the top. On the bottom, it's all sorts of subterraneous relays and circuitry and all kinds of craziness. So this is the computer that controls everything in the car that isn't actually the engine and the transmission. So first thing I noticed as soon as I looked at it was that it's got this jumper wire right here. So these wires are available. You can get these like through Amazon. It's a jumper specifically for this purpose. And in this case, the previous owner had a problem, and this is a known problem with these units, with the fuel pump relay. And this jumper right here is a way to get around that fuel pump relay failure in these boxes. So this thing has already been hacked once. All right, but now I needed headlights. So I went through all the troubleshooting before I actually got into the box. We know that the switch is good. The switch is sending a signal to the instrument cluster. The instrument cluster then sends the signal to the TIPM. So we know that everything is working inside there. Checked all of that. So we got a signal going into the TIPM, but the driver that turns on the headlights is out. There's no external relays, there's no external fuses for the headlights. It's all integrated into the TIPM. So what do? I need to find a source of power to turn the headlights on when I turn the headlight switch on. Now on this one, when I turn the headlight switch on, I get taillights as normal. So what I needed to find was the fuse for the taillights. Well, actually, there's two fuses for the taillights. There's one for the left and one for the right. So I have my fuse, my power source from the left taillight right here. Now I added this wire, this white wire, and this white wire goes to a relay, which I have zip tied to the battery. Because remember, this is not a permanent fix, but it is maybe like this for a little while until I actually find a good TIPM, or I feel like laying this thing up for a couple of weeks while I have this one rebuilt. So the relay, why is the relay important? If I power the headlights just off of the circuitry for the taillights, it's going to be too much of a draw. So I need to just use the taillight as a signal. And by using a relay, now instead of the taillight powering the headlights directly, the taillights are just energizing a magnet and activating the relay. The relay is for you guys who aren't familiar, I know most of you are, but for those who aren't familiar, a relay will have 4 pins, let's say, on the bottom of it. Some have more. Typically, they'll have 4 pins, right? 2 of those pins are for a magnet. So you've got a power source for the magnet, and you've got a ground for the magnet. And when it's energized, the magnet contracts. There's a set of contacts in there. When the magnet pulls the contacts together, it sends the higher voltage or higher amperage through the circuit that you're looking to power. That's how that works. So I've got my relay that's tripped by the taillight fuse, and it's grounded to the battery. And then I've got my power source for the headlights, which is directly from hot on the battery through a fuse, and then to the relay, and then from the relay, this wire goes down and it joins both this headlight and that headlight. They're on 2 separate circuits inside the TIPM. So if you just power one, it won't automatically power the other. You need to run a jumper wire between them. And to accomplish that, I just use a pair of Scotch locks. So this wire here goes directly to this headlight. Then there's a Scotch lock on there and a wire that runs across and connects to the other headlight. And I tucked it all up neatly. So that right there is the system. I turn on the lights. The tail lights go on. The tail lights send a signal to this relay. The relay closes the circuit between the battery, the positive battery, and the headlights. And yes, I checked grounds before I did any of this, and both of the headlights had good grounds. Because typically, a lot of times, electrical problems like this can be traced to a bad ground. You have to go through all of the troubleshooting steps. But if you don't have a scanner where you can actually operate this thing like a professional mechanic would, and I don't have a scanner because I don't work on any of this newer stuff. I haven't worked on newer stuff in almost 20 years. So I'm just exactly the same as you as far as like a DIY guy would go. So I did my diagnostics the old-fashioned way, with a test light and a voltmeter. You're going to have to do the same basic thing if you're trying to solve a problem like this. But when you're going to solve that problem, do it the right way. Don't just random willy-nilly run wires. Even if it's just a temporary repair, try to make it as neat and as professional as you can. Like I did here. I tried to make it neat and professional. Because, you make a repair like this, and you say, okay, I'll get to it next week. I'll get to it next week. And the next thing you know, it's like 3 years later, and it's still the same way. You don't want to have any adverse side effects from it lasting that long. Or tomorrow I go by the local pull apart and I find one of these things that was wrapped around a pole. I know that the electrics are going to be good because it died in another fashion, so I'll buy the TIPM out of that. Talk about doing wrong things the right way and not hacking stuff. This is really important, okay? So I ran this wire, you see, from here through the box to the relay. But these boxes, these body control modules, TIPMs, these things have to be weather tight. You can't let any moisture get in there at all, right? So you see even here, right around here, you can see that it's got a rubber seal, a rubber gasket that goes all the way around that seals this. That's really important. You don't want any moisture or any condensation. You don't want any outside moisture getting into this box. it can cause some serious issues down the road. So what I did here was I took a small Phillips screwdriver, I heated the tip, and I passed it through the box housing, ran the wire through, and then I siliconed it on the other side. So this way, if my workaround hack has to last for any amount of time, you know, because you get lazy and it's like, it's fine. I don't have to worry about the box being corrupted by moisture or battery vapors because it's sitting right next to the battery. It's sealed up. And when I do if I do change it out, or I'll just cover that hole. Actually, come to think of it, if I change it out, I won't even have a hole to worry about. Seal any holes that you make. Don't just run the wires willy-nilly. Do the wrong thing the right way. And then you too can be a professional hack. I own that stuff. I love hacking things. I think it's in some people's DNA to hack stuff. I mean, be honest with you. It's everything I've learned in my life came from attempting to hack, and then failing, and then you learn from the failures, and then you become good at stuff. So in this example, we fixed this. We hacked the headlights on a Chrysler minivan, but the same basic method will work on anything that's powered through a body control module or a TIPM. So I mean, let's just say the heater stopped working, or the wipers stopped working, or the power windows, whatever it happens to be. If it runs through the TPM, it can usually be hacked exactly the way I showed here. The important thing is to use a relay to connect the circuit, because the relay won't create an undue draw on any of the other circuits that are in the system. Whereas if you try to just hot wire it direct, you're going to melt it down. You're just going to make a bad problem even worse. Although when they're dead, right? But you get the general idea. A workaround like this, a hack like this, can last. You're not going to do any other damage to other systems in the vehicle. All right, I hope you got something out of that. Take your time, do your troubleshooting, make sure you've pinpointed the problem to that, and then effect your repair, your hack, in the most professional way possible. Go ahead, call me a hack. I'll see you tomorrow.